surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
American till death!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line! Cause Stone Cold said so!
Ladies, gentlemen, and whoever else is listening to this, wrestling fans all over the world, thank you so much for tuning in. This is another installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast, hosted by me, that hates that E to the A to the D. Thank you so much for tuning in, taking the time to tune in and listen to the most funnest podcast around. That's right, because every time people come on this show, they always have fun, and that's what it's all about. Hope you've all had a good week. Hope you enjoyed the world of professional wrestling this week. Quite frankly, there was a few shocking moments this week for me, and I want to explain one right now. It involves Ring of Honor, because it seems starting June the 3rd, Ring of Honor is going to Destination America. It's been announced this week. Very surprising. It seems that Destination America think Ring of Honor is better than TNA as far as ratings go, and to be honest with you, considering I've been reviewing for about a month now Ring of Honor Wrestling on this very podcast, the ratings that I've given it can probably tell you why they want it on their network, because they want best wrestling, they want great wrestling, and who better to go at this point in time to Ring of Honor, because they have been delivering very much, and probably delivering more on a level better than TNA. I mean, not knocking TNA's been good, but like I said last week, their ratings have been good, but apparently they weren't good enough for Destination America. Maybe they'll get that out of Ring of Honor. Now, I don't know what I've heard about this. I believe Ring of Honor is, I don't know, I heard this was going to be a 3-hour show. That's what I read. I could have swore I read that this week, that it was going to be a 3-hour show. I hope it's not, to be honest with you. I hope they take the hour show that they do on their website and all that, and that they put up on their website, ringofhonorwrestling.com, or ROHwrestling.com. Hopefully they can put that up and, you know, give it a better dimension on Destination America this week. Like I say, it's very shocking. There was tweets out by TNA Dixie Carter, the TNA president, welcoming them to the Destination America family or network and everything. And apparently they're going to go back to back, so it'll be TNA, then Ring of Honor. That's what I've heard. I don't know what's going to go down. I guess it's a case of believing it when you see it. But, I mean, TNA is going to be leaving there very, very soon, because they're going to be dropped eventually. Don't know when, but they're going to be dropped. So, I mean, what the future holds now for TNA, now that Ring of Honor is basically on their network. You know, who's going to want to pick up TNA? I hope somebody picks them up and somebody supports them too, man. I mean, TNA needs support, not just from what they've got and everything, but from the network as well. The network, they don't have to put in much, but the network needs to, you know, back them up a little bit. That's in my opinion anyway, but like I say, we'll believe it when we see it. We'll see what happens in the coming months. Now, also this past week as well, something very verified started on Twitter this week. ICW owner Mark Dallas put up that he wanted to be verified. You know when you're on Twitter and you have these little blue ticks that are next to your username and shit? Well, he wanted one for him, and he set this thing off called Verified Dallas, hashtag Verified Dallas on Twitter. I don't know why I'm mentioning this. I'm sorry, Mark, if I'm mentioning this or anything, but I want to mention it. Verified Dallas on Twitter, and I believe, from what it seems, I don't know, it might have got trended. I don't know. I never checked the trend thing. I never checked the trended thing, or where you're supposed. Where this hashtag Verified Dallas trends? You know where I'm going with this. So I wrote this past week as well. wrestling fans stand up for professional wrestling. You know, hashtag stand up for professional wrestling. We should all stand up for Mark Dallas and get him verified on Twitter. You know, stand up for Dallas kind of thing. Or verify Dallas and everything. So I'm making it right now. I'm announcing it on this show. Hashtag verify Dallas. Hashtag stand up for Dallas. Hashtag get him verified on Twitter. Okay? So that's the play right now. It just sounds more. I mean, the hashtag stand up for professional wrestling sounds better than this, but hey, let's get Mark Dallas verified on Twitter. He is the ICW owner. He's, like I say, he's not a fake person or anything like that. And hell, if Mark wants to come on the show, wants to come on the podcast, all you need is a Skype. You know, if he wants to come on the podcast and, you know, do an interview with me or anything like that, I'll be more than happy to do so. You know, you're more than welcome to come on, not just you, all ICW as well, because I do an ICW podcast, as you probably have gathered. But yeah. And also a big thank you to Mark Dallas and Sabu for retweeting that the comment as well. And I knew Mark Dallas would retweet it and favour it and everything, because he started it, but I never thought Sabu would retweet it. So to the legend himself, the hardcore icon, Sabu, thank you so much. Speaking of Sabu, you can probably see this on YouTube. I might be wrong. On WTTV. If you haven't seen it and you don't live in the UK, go and check it out. WTTV Wrestling, Wrestle Talk Television. It's a show that takes place over here on Challenge. On Challenge TV in the UK, but we get it over here in Challenge, but we can't watch it over here in the UK on YouTube. That's for people who haven't got Challenge and people who don't live in the UK, which is America and whatnot. So if you don't live in the UK, get yourself over to Wrestle Talk TV. Find them on YouTube. I don't know what their YouTube channel is. Find them on YouTube, check them out, and check out the interview they did with Sabu. Because let's just face it, he tells it like it is, and it was a very, very interesting interview. It was a two-parter. I don't know what they've done on there. It'll probably be a two-parter on there as well, unless they have the full interview on there. I don't know. I haven't checked, but yeah, if you get a chance, go and find it, check it out, and he tells it like it is, man. He shoots on what happened with him and Paul Heyman the night he was supposed to wrestle in the triple threat tag team match with him, Taz versus Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko versus Public Enemy, but didn't turn up for it because he ended up going to Japan because he got paid more money, and then that's what led to him falling out with Paul Heyman, yada yada yada. Like I say, go and check it out, man. It's a very interesting and very fascinating interview, and I enjoyed it as well. So check that out. It's on Wrestle Talk Television. Find them on YouTube, find them on Twitter, you know, and if you can mainly find it on YouTube, you know, check it out and watch the interview back, because like I say, it's worth watching. Also, what else can I talk about this week? Yeah, TNA was back this week with the big May show. It wasn't on last week because they put Slammiversary on. What the fuck for? They'll probably promoting it because we're close to June anyway, and Slammiversary is coming soon, so in June. That's if TNA is still around. But yeah, TNA were back this week, and I will be reviewing TNA wrestling. I will be reviewing WWE, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. NXT from the fallout of TakeOver. And yes, of course, I'll be reviewing Ring of Honor, and also promoting TWT Wrestling later on, as well as the next installment of the ICW podcast. So be sure to tune in and stay tuned for that. But with that being said, ladies and gents, boys and girls, children of all ages, I will be back after this quick break, this quick timeout, with Elimination Chamber predictions. My predictions. That's right, for Elimination Chamber. Before we get to Raw and the regular format that we do on this show, tune in after this. Well, stay tuned, because after this, I'll be talking Elimination Chamber predictions. So I'll be right back. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows. Oh my God! Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, download it free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, part 2, and without further ado, we'll get right into it. This is the Elimination Chamber predictions. So before we review Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Ring of Honor, and TNA, let's do the predictions and get these out the way. Now we'll start off the predictions with a match between John Cena and Kevin Owens. Now this all started in the, I guess you could say, in the open challenge, John Cena's open challenge that he does with the US title, where Kevin Owens came out of nowhere and basically dropped him with his pop-up powerbomb, stood on the United States belt and raised the NXT title. But Kevin Owens claims to have done that because of John Cena taking credit for Sami Zayn's injuries, something that Kevin Owens did. So this is a dream match for what's going to take place at the show, at the Elimination Chamber. This is a dream match. It could have been for a title, but obviously it wasn't, because, like I say, you've got the US Championship, the US Champion John Cena, and Kevin Owens, the reigning NXT Champion rather, and you've got Michael Owen. You got Michael Owen. You got Michael Cole. Wow, fucking hell, Michael Owen. It's not a football podcast. You got Michael Cole on SmackDown this past week, which I'll get to more later, saying that Kevin Owens has been in the WWE now for 2 weeks. No, Cole, that's a basically slap in the face to NXT. NXT is WWE. Like I said, more on that later. I'll save it for later because it fucking drives me nuts. And I guess WWE don't consider NXT, or trying not to consider NXT. I know they're considering their own brand, for Pete's sake, and they want to break away and everything, and have 3 brands. But for fuck's sake, NXT is WWE. For fuck's sake. We'll move on. I'll talk more about that later. But I think my prediction in this match would be Kevin Owens. Although I wouldn't be surprised if John Cena ends up winning. But I think my prediction is Kevin Owens, because I think they're looking to elevate him and make him dominant. Not that he already is dominant with the NXT Championship, but I think they want to, take him to that, push him up a little bit more higher and make him go to that next level kind of thing. And, this is his very first, can you say pay-per-view? Because I don't know if this is a pay-per-view. But it's going to be on the WWE Network. That's why you should have the network, ladies and gentlemen. But, and you can sign up for the network anyway and you'll get this for free. So, I don't know what's going to go down. I can see Kevin Owens winning this, but like I say, I won't be surprised if John Cena wins it. Now we'll get the other one out the way. Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas. Now, I'm just basically going with Adrian Neville. This guy's on a hot streak, and it seems that Bo Dallas, since he's come back, has been nothing but a jobber. And quite frankly, I hope and pray that Adrian Neville beats the hell out of Bo Dallas, because quite frankly, I can't stand Bo Dallas. This guy needs to change. I believe he should fuck off. That's what I think, and I just don't like the guy, and I hope Neville beats him, and beats him good. The Divas match for the Divas title, the triple threat match, which is Naomi, Paige, and Nikki Bella. I believe Paige will win this, with her coming back. Nikki and Naomi going at it for the title, her coming back, she gets involved. She wants a piece of, Naomi, but, she wants Nikki as well to be the champion, and dropping Nikki with the DDT, and then Nikki dropping her with the rack attack, and although you know where I'm going with it. But I believe Paige will be the Divas champion after this, and I think it's about time now for a title change, because the future Mrs. Cena has done well with the championship, but I believe it's time to put the belt back on Paige, and have it break away now, where there's a feud now between Paige and Naomi for the Divas title. I would personally like to see that, because that would probably make the feud with Naomi and Paige, because there's a rivalry there. There's a rivalry there, because Naomi took Paige. Naomi took Paige out of the Divas match when she was supposed to get a Divas title shot anyway, and stepped in and got the shot herself. So I think she won a battle royal with it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so I believe this is Paige's retribution, so to speak, and then basically a fuck you to Naomi. But we'll see. Now we'll go on to the very first Elimination Chamber match, which is the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match. I don't know how this is going to work, quite frankly. I really do not know how this is going to work, but we'll see. We'll see Sunday. And I'm predicting anybody in this match other than New Day, because quite frankly, New Day sucks. New Day sucks. They've got 2 great talents in that group, Big E and Kofi, an annoying TNA reject in Xavier Woods, consequences created to TNA fans. I just don't like them. I don't like the style, I don't like their gimmick, I don't like them as a group. They'd have been best off saying that they were the Nation 2.0, because this gimmick, this gospel gimmick that they've got, sucks. That's why New Day sucks. If I had to pick one team out of this to win, I'm hoping it's Cesaro and Tyson Kidd, and that would be my pick if I had to pick one, but I'm going for anybody. Even the Ascension could be World Tag Team Champions for all I care. I just don't want the New Day to win it. I don't want the New Day to be champions. Now for the Intercontinental Championship prediction Elimination Chamber. With we got Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, Rusev, and R-Truth. Guarantee you this right now, R-Truth ain't winning it. Sorry, Ron, but you ain't winning it. It's tough because there's a feud in there with Dolph and Sheamus. They've got some unfinished business. Rusev will be looking to bounce back from losing his US title and looking to get some gold around him. And there's a feud building there between Ziggler and Rusev because of the Lana situation. And Wade Barrett's in there, the king, and Ryback could be the dark horse out of all this. I wouldn't be too disappointed if Ryback actually win it. He's not my prediction, but if Ryback wins, I won't be disappointed because he could be the dark horse in all this. I think my prediction for this would be Dolph Ziggler, to be honest. But I will say this, if Wade Barrett wins, I won't be disappointed. If Ryback wins, will not be disappointed. Or if Dolph Ziggler wins, this is my prediction, I will be more than happy because they need to start pushing Ziggler again, in my view. Ron ain't winning it. I don't know if Sheamus would work as an Intercontinental Champion, especially with the hairstyle he's got, or with the heel character that he's got. That's just my view on that, and I don't see Rusev winning it, to be honest. But, yeah, my prediction for that will be Dolph Ziggler. Dolph deserves to be a champion again. He deserves a world title shot, to be honest with you, or attempt a push for the world title, but hey, this is WWE we're talking about. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler one pay-per-view. Speaking of Seth Rollins, that leads us to the World Heavyweight Championship match between him and Dean Ambrose. Now, they obviously didn't go with a heel turn, and this is Dean Ambrose getting pushed now to, getting used and getting pushed right. Do I see him winning the World Championship? Unfortunately not, to be honest. Unfortunately not. I think he's going to lose this. Obviously there's going to be some shenanigans in there because I don't think Seth Rollins will win it clean. If he does, I'll be surprised. But considering what's been going on the past couple of weeks leading into this match, he hasn't done anything to get over on Dean Ambrose, cleanly. He's always had J&J security or Kane interfere. So I see Seth Rollins win with shenanigans, but I see Dean Ambrose moving on to Money in the Bank and joining that with, from what I've gathered, I believe Roman Reigns has announced that he's going to be taking part in Money in the Bank as well. So I see Rollins retaining and Dean Ambrose moving on to Money in the Bank and being the second competitor in there with Roman Reigns. That's just the way I see it. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Elimination Chamber predictions, and I'll be back after this with the Monday Night Raw main talking points as well as SmackDown. We'll throw SmackDown in there too. So stay tuned. I'll be back right after this. For new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling-related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters on YouTube.
This is Jonny Ferrari. I'm all in with the Wrestling Matters podcast in Vegas, baby.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and without further ado, we'll get right into it. This is the Raw main talking points and the SmackDown main talking points. We'll start with Raw, though. Raw kicked off this week with the Lunatic Fringe. Under duress is a polite way to describe the manner in which Dean Ambrose got his World Championship opportunity against Seth Rollins last week, but the Authority, fair sports that they are, decided to honour the Lunatic Fringe unique negotiation tactics, provided a bit of formalities were out of the way first. Triple H, Stephanie and co. in a Raw opening to address the WWE Universe told the former United States Champion the match was all his, provided his name was officially on the contract by the night's end. Given that this wasn't shaping up to be so simple as leading the guy a pen, Roman Reigns stormed to his brothers-in-arms aid when it looked like Dean Ambrose was headed for the wrong end of a group beatdown, which turned out to be both a blessing and a curse. While Ambrose was temporarily saved, the Shield vets found themselves fell right into a tag team bout against Rollins and Kane. A lot to read there. And that match was next, by the way. Everything's coming up Ambrose, even though the Lunatic Fringe hadn't yet put his name on the official WWE World Championship match contract. The number one contender, with some backup from Roman Reigns, showed his mettle with a wait-for-it authoritative victory over the Seth Rollins and Kane in a match the Shield veterans controlled handily from the word jump. The only point it looked like the Authority might win, in fact, was when Rollins bailed Kane out of a Superman Punch elbow drop combo from his old buddies. The Architect briefly put Ambrose on his heels after that and nearly pulled his team out of the fire, but he found himself toasted by the Lunatic Fringe when his attempted to reverse Ambrose rebound lariat was itself reversed into a backslide for 3. Unfortunately, Ambrose, though, a post-match scuffle that ended with the cameraman taking a hit, ended in an arrest for simply assault by the pair of New York City police officers. Lunatic Fringe was on his way to jail. Same shit, different day. Rusev defeats R-Truth, but the match at the end, but that wasn't the story. The story was at the end that Lana came out and Rusev said he'd take her back if she quit, if she admitted that he didn't quit, but Lana had other ideas. Ryback defeats King Barrett to build up to the Intercontinental Championship chamber match. Neville defeats Stardust, despite the fact Bo Dallas was at ringside. Sheamus beats Dolph Ziggler. The show, getting a kiss from Lana is all well and good for Dolph Ziggler, but the ravishing Russian, lip-locked, turned out to be an inverted kiss of death when Rusev interfered with the show-off's actual contest on Raw, a rubber match against Sheamus. The Bulgarian Brute picked his moment perfectly to stalk down the match right after Ziggler had super kicked Sheamus into the middle next week. The show-off saw Rusev coming and intercepted with a super kick of his own, only to catch a bro kick when he turned around and turned his attentions back to the Irishman. Dolph didn't have to kiss anyone's ass this time. He did, however, eat a face full of boot after the match when Rusev locked in the camel clutch move, all while making sure Lana got front row seat of the carnage. United States Champion John Cena, leading into his match with Kevin Owens, beats Zack Ryder. A timely interference from Kevin Dillon led up to the match and everything, but that wasn't the end. An emotional celebration afterwards was all Kevin Owens needed to rush to the ring to elaborate the champ with yet another pop-up powerbomb. Smart, Owens, smart. Tamia beats Paige, leading into the triple threat match at the Chamber. Tag Team Champions New Day defeat Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, Lucha all by DQ. Again, another build-up to the Chamber match, the Tag Team Chamber match. I'm still wondering how that's going to work, by the way. Turnabout is fair play, and technicalities are a funny thing. When Dean Ambrose temporarily incarcerated, even though Rollins instigated the ways that sent him away in the first place, and therefore unable to sign the title match contract. Roman Reigns once again came to his friend's rescue, rushing the ring and taking the fight to all the Authority at once for trying to rob his friend of the title match. In an inverse of the night's opening incident, just when it looked like Roman Reigns was heading for a world of hurt, Ambrose appeared by a small cell phone footage by a backstage worker, made a triumphant return to the arena behind the wheel, the same paddy wagon that took him away, assisting Reigns in the clear out, the Authority with a pair of nightsticks. As the night came to an end, the best part was Ambrose signed the contract and would go one-on-one with Seth Rollins for the World Championship at Elimination Chamber. So with that being said, ladies and gents, that is the end of the Raw talking points. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump into SmackDowns. talking points. On the final stop before Elimination Chamber, NXT champion Kevin Owens predicted that he will dominate John Cena in their champion vs. champion match. The Authority overpowered Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and Rusev took frustrations out on Ryback. Dean Ambrose kicked off Thursday's hottest show straight into high gear, reminiscing with the WWE Universe about his chaotic Monday night that included a trip to jail, and then storming the gates to sign the World Championship contract before the show went off air. After a detailed account of his eventful evening, the Lunatic Fringe delivered a message to the Authority that at the Elimination Chamber match, or the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, or show, or whatever it is, we will witness the beginning of the age of Ambrose. Age of. When have I heard that before? Lucha Dragons defeat Tyson Kidd and Cesaro with a little help from the New Day. Again, a build-up to what's going to happen at the Chamber. R-Truth beating King Barrett. Ryback defeating Rusev by disqualification. Lana stated that she is no man's property in her interview with Renee Young, before stating that she is in fact has no relationship with Dolph Ziggler, before the ravishing Russian could expound on the show-off status for the Elimination Chamber. However, Rusev interrupted and declared that his former manager dug her grave, and now she will rot in it. Still fuming after backstage interaction with Lana moments earlier, Rusev engaged in a hard-hitting battle with Ryback. Both heavyweights traded haymakers before the super athlete, who was feeling the effects of his injured ankle, sent the big guy headfirst into the steel ring post. Still unsatisfied, the Bulgarian brute channeled his frustrations into a continued assault on the human wrecking ball, throwing Ryback into the steel steps. After the brutal showdown on SmackDown, will Rusev and Ryback be able to endure the punishment of the Elimination Chamber? Guess we'll find out. I guess you all knew anyway. Paige beats Naomi. A little bit of momentum there for Paige going into the Chamber match for the title. Kevin Owens likes to fight, but it has also become clear that he doesn't mind talking, as evidenced by his fondness of cutting off Michael Cole during the in-ring interview. The NXT champion talked a big game, predicting that he will break John Cena this Sunday. Now, I want to bring something up like I mentioned earlier on. Michael Cole said to Kevin Owens he was in the WWE now for 2 weeks. He's been in the business for 15 years, like he said, Cole. But you said to him that he was in the WWE for 2 weeks. What about NXT, Cole? You know, does that not count as WWE? I know NXT is trying to build out to be their own brand and all that. But last time I checked, Cole, you might want to do your research, okay? You might want to do your research again. Because last time I checked, NXT was WWE. Is a WWE product. Is a WWE brand. Whether it goes out to be its own brand or not, or third brand, it's still a brand of WWE. It's still WWE production. I mean, who is paying you to say this bullshit? Because basically you're slapping NXT in the face and you're disrespecting all the people on that show, okay? He's been in the WWE now for at least going on 4 to 5 months. Maybe 6. I don't know. He hasn't been in the WWE for 2 weeks, Cole. You fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that is the end. I've got one more thing to do before I talk about the main event of SmackDown. Roman Reigns looked to be on the verge of picking up a pinfall victory over Seth Rollins, aimed a frenzied tag team clash, but J&J Security were up to their old tricks, interrupting a potential 3 count. Technically, the Big Dog and Dean Ambrose won by disqualification, but the Authority got the last laugh on this night. Even when the Director of Operations summoned backup from all 3 members of the New Day, Reigns and the Lunatic Fringe mounted an impressive post-match offense comeback, but Elias, the overwhelming odds were too much for the former Shield brothers to overcome, as the Architect put an exclamation point on the night by hitting a pedigree on Ambrose. Will WWE's unstable superstar fall to Rollins' pedigree this Sunday? It was Sunday at the Chamber, which you already probably have seen. Well, you guys know the answer to that, don't you, if you saw the Chamber? And I will be reviewing the Chamber pay-per-view next week. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Raw and SmackDown main talking points. Sorry I went a bit off there on Michael Cole, but, you know, it had to be done. Fucking idiot. But I'll be back after this with NXT talking points. So, it's a build-up from it's a fallout from what happened last week. So stay tuned, I'll be back after this.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters Podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And hope you've enjoyed the podcast so far. We might get back into it. We'll talk about NXT. Emma and Bayley kicked off this week. Though Bayley was riding high following her tag team victory over Emma and Dana Brooke last week at TakeOver, the tables were turned this week as she faced Emma in a singles match with the Total Divas watching from ringside. Or the Total Diva watching from ringside. While Bayley did her best to counter Emma's sort of dirty tactics, they were little she could do but tap out when she found herself trapped in Emma's lock. Brooke leapt into the ring after the bell, holding Bayley up so Emma could slap her. Charlotte tried to end the attack on her friend, but the numbers game was too much to overcome. The genetically superior diva soon found herself on the receiving end of a slap from Emma and a slap from Brooke, ensuring that this rivalry is far from over. 1 week after helping Blake and Murphy retain their tag team titles, Alexia Bliss unveiled a fierce new look as she accompanied the champions to ringside for their match. The champions enjoyed toying with their opponents this week. Though Samson and Rallis had a brief burst of offense, Blake and Murphy dominated the match, picking up the win after a suplex frog splash. Wow. Combination to add insult to injury. The champions dragged Samson back into the corner where Alexia was waiting to hit her sparkle splash, putting an exclamation point on the NXT's newest partnership. Finn Balor, the number one contender to Owens' NXT Championship, was in action, taking on Ty Dillinger, who showed an aggressive side in the early moments of the bout. However, Balor was out to send a message to the NXT champion and succeeded, stomping his way to victory with the Cop to Grace, which I'm guessing is the top rope stomp that he does. Speaking of the NXT champion, after the bell rang for the main event, Owens stepped out of the ring, refusing to fight fair, instead daring Crow to brawl with him on the arena floor. The hacker obliged, but soon found himself on the receiving end of a fury of forearms from the NXT champion. Crow battled back, straggling Owens with a big strike, but when he went to the top rope, the champion sent him crashing to the arena floor. Owens showed his will over Crow, who refused to stay down after the NXT champion repeatedly tossed him out of the ring. Crow mustered a second win, getting the NXT universe behind him with every strike until furious Kevin Owens cut him off with a pop-up powerbomb to win the bout. The NXT champion tried to add Crow to his list of victims after the match, setting him up for the powerbomb on the ring apron, but Samoa Joe once again put a stop to that. Owens laid out the NXT championship in the ring, all but begging Joe to get in the ring, but when Joe stepped in the ring, Owens picked his belt up and stepped out of the ring. If Samoa Joe has his way, Owens won't be able to duck him for very much longer. I can't wait to see that match. Samoa Joe in WWE, Samoa Joe versus Kevin Owens. I believe these two have met before of the indie circuit, but bringing it to WWE, it's going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Samoa Joe, future NXT champion. Oh man, seeing that match either. Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor. Anyway, that is the end of the NXT review. 4 out of 5 for it. I thought it was a good fallback from the NXT TakeOver. If you haven't seen TakeOver, go and find it. But yeah, bit of a good thing. Where this feud is going with Owens and Samoa Joe remains to be seen. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the NXT Make Talking Points, and I'll be back after this very short commercial break, or ad break or whatever, with TNA's main talking points. So, see you in a bit. If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Twitter page at WM Podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
I see love! 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 I see love!
Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Let's get right into it. We'll get right into TNA's main talking points. Now, after a week break from last week, TNA kicked off this week with 6 Sides of Steel. Gail Kim versus Taryn Terrell. Now, it was for the Knockouts Championship. Yes, the Dollhouse were at ringside. And it ends like this. Taryn drives Gail into the cage again, this time following up with a swinging neckbreaker and suplex. Gail counters an attempted Taryn cutter, and both women fall after a double clothesline. They reach their feed to trade blows until Gail furiously unloads a series of clotheslines, followed by a knee breaker and flying crossbody. Gail begins her ascent towards the top of the cage, where she's met by the Dollhouse, sends crashing back to the mat. Taryn connects with a cutter and gets a 3 count to retain her title. Post-match beatdown, yada yada yada. Kong tries to get into the ring by swinging a chair at the lock. Meanwhile, Taryn rips off Kim's wedding ring and holds it in her teeth and slams her repeatedly, stomps Gail's left hand while screaming, "Put it back on your finger now, Gail." Okay, maybe she didn't do that. Maybe she should have done that when she was married to Drew Galloway, but that's another issue for another day. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on with this thing between James Storm and Mickie James. Mickie ends it by saying, calls out to Storm, "Tell him I'll see him in Nashville." Storm smiles and leaves. Maybe she's offered him something and something's gone down. Magnus is jealous and this and this. I don't know what the hell's going on, but is he trying to get back in the head, or is he trying to get into the head of Magnus? We will see. A new X Division champion was crowned. Spud versus Kenny King, X Division gauntlet title match down to King and Rockstar. Spud stalks the champion and jumps onto his back. King slams Spud to the mat before turning into a thirst press and a facebuster from DJZ. King counters an Irish whip, attempt from DJZ, using the momentum to catapult DJZ over the top rope. DJZ is eliminated. Manik pleads with King for a double team on Spud. King agrees on Spud, is nearly eliminated. Manik double crosses Kenny King and is eliminated for his efforts. It's a one-on-one match. Kenny King unleashes a furious assault on as the crowd chants, "Let's go Spud." King lands a stiff kick to the ribs. He hoists Spud onto his shoulders, but Spud manages to roll through for a surprise 3 count to become the new X Division champion. What's next for Spud? Will he cash it in? Will he go and face the world champion Kurt Angle? Let's have to wait and see. The Wolves are 2-0 up in their series, and it ended with rude whips Aries towards Eddie Edwards. He connects with a drop kick to the face. Aries follows up with a 450 splash. Davey Richards interrupts the count. Richards thwarts a Dirty Heels double team attempt. The Wolves are poised to deliver a force of nature following a pop-up, but Aries rolls through into last chancery while Rude holds Richards against the ring post. Richards breaks 3 and comes down on Aries with a hammer of gods to break the hold. The Wolves connect with force of nature and Eddie Edwards makes the pin. It is 2-0 in the series. The Wolves now just need one more to win the championship. So we'll have to wait and see on that. The feud between Angelina Love and Velvet Sky continues. When Angelina turns her back, Velvet jumps the guardrail and attacks. Love security separates the two, but Velvet attacks the 2 security guards and goes for Angelina again. Finally, Angelina's security team is able to control by handcuffing Velvet Sky. What's next for these two? EC3 manages to get a victory over Mr. Anderson as well, and a clean victory at that. From what I saw anyway. And now we go on to the main event of the evening, which is for the World Championship in an I Quit match. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You probably have seen it, and I'll just go through the main point of it. Young flies from the top rope with a missile dropkick, but he doesn't connect on Angle rolls him into an ankle lock. Eric Young taps out, but doesn't say I quit. Angle breaks the hold by mistake and catches a low blow. Young capitalizes with a power driver, but Angle utters a no, he doesn't quit. Young tells Angle to quit or he'll break his neck. Angle refuses and rolls through for the second power driver attempt into an ankle lock. He sits on Young's ankle and squeezes harder, forcing Eric Young to say I quit. Winner, Kurt Angle, retains the championship. What's next? I don't know, but it seems Eric Young has got a long way to go to come back, because that is going to come back to haunt him, the fact that he said I quit. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will be back after this short break with Ring of Honor view, and then after that I will give you some shout outs as well, because I've got some shout outs I need to do. So I'll be right back right after this. For new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters, on YouTube. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and without further ado, we'll get right into it. For the penultimate part of the podcast, Ring of Honor review. Now, Ring of Honor kicked off this week with Michael Elgin versus Caprice Coleman. Now, feeling out a process to start this match, Elgin with the power advantage, Caprice with the quickness advantage, hits a drop kick, Caprice that is. Elgin stops a dive attempt, brings the fight to the outside as Ring of Honor goes to a quick break. Wow. ROH back from the break, Caprice in control. Caprice hits a no hands Hurricane Rana, which is basically Elgin sitting on the second rope turnbuckle, sitting on the top turnbuckle. Caprice doesn't even need to climb up, he just jumps up and hits the Hurricane Rana and gets a near fall. Elgin showing his power. A discus forearm by Elgin gets him a near fall. Roll through, double stomp to the back. A back T-bone into a slam gets Elgin a near fall. Fighting on the apron, Coleman gets the advantage of it and kicks Elgin off the apron, and he does a moonsault jumping from the second rope inside the ring. So basically, he gets on the second rope, he manages to jump on the second rope, and where he was stood, he manages to jump, take a turn in the air, lands on the second rope, and then flips outside, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go and find it. It's just a beautiful thing of beauty. Coleman comes back in the ring and hits Sky Splinting, but gets a near fall. Elgin hits clothesline, then powerbomb in the corner, then sit out powerbomb, which I believe is a tiger bomb, and gets the win. So good way to start the match, good way to start the show, building into what was the main event, and very hard hitting stuff. Elgin getting the victory. Jay says Kyle O'Reilly will find out he is not as good as he thinks. Kyle says he plans on making Jay tap out. All of that leading into the World Television Championship match, the damnedest World TV title match I've ever seen, or one of the damnedest matches I've ever seen all year. If you haven't seen this, go and find it, man. Seriously, go and watch it, go and find it. Unbelievable. A wrestling match which basically turned into a fight is what it was. Straight out of the get-go, O'Reilly hits armbar, Jay gets a near fall, slows it down. Jay slows it down by going on the outside. Quickness with O'Reilly early on, slowing down Jay. Textbook wrestling advantage, Kyle O'Reilly. Every time Jay tries to escape, Kyle O'Reilly is one step ahead. Jay gets a near fall. Story of the match so far, Kyle O'Reilly likes the headlock, but Jay rams him to the guardrail outside as ROH goes to the break. Back from the break, O'Reilly in control, getting a near fall from a takedown. A beautiful takedown as well. O'Reilly working on the arm. Jay hip toss, cartwheel dropkick advantage Jay. Jay hits a suplex, then locks in a submission. O'Reilly really working on Jay's arm. Match outside, working on the arm. Jay in a lot of trouble. Hard hitting combos, working on the arm of Jay by Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly gets him on the floor, hooks the arm behind him, and just unloads with combos using knees and whatnot. Armbar on the ropes, then Truth Martini hits Kyle with the Book of Truth, looking to get an advantage for Jay. Thanks to Truth, O'Reilly in trouble. Jay chokes Kyle O'Reilly with the flag, which was the Canadian flag, which was outside where in the guardrail, one of the fans had it. Jay beating down Kyle O'Reilly outside, back in the ring. Jay in control. Jay hits top rope double axe handle and gets a near fall as ROH goes to break. Back from the break, and Kyle O'Reilly's fighting back. Double arm suplex combo. He hits 2 in a row, and then hits a double arm suplex lift, like impaler DDT move, and gets a near fall. Has the hams hooked, and it just lets him down and drives him face first into the mat. Kyle catches Jay, and I mean catches him, rocks him with a knee to the jaw, then locks in the chokehold, which is the guillotine. Jay in trouble, but hits lethal combo to get out of it and gets a near fall. Reverse DDT, but Jay goes up top. Took too much time. Jay gets the advantage, however, and goes and hits the Hail to the King, which is the Macho Man's elbow. Top rope single arm DDT by Kyle O'Reilly. Jay gets out. Suplex. Both men hit hard on the outside. Kyle fights back. Kyle O'Reilly fights back in the ring and does. Toe to toe in the ring, in the middle of the ring, that is. Straight up fight. Axe smash. Jay hits a super kick. Then Kyle O'Reilly hits the clothesline as he uses the second rope, the top of the second rope, like Dean Ambrose does it when he bounces off the ropes and just hits the lariat and everything, and Nigel McGuinness style, because Nigel McGuinness usually did it as well. Then hits a brain buster and gets a near fall, and then just locks in the arm bar. Jay eventually gets out. Toe to toe in the middle of the ring. This time a slowly back and forth match between the two in the middle of the ring, because these two were just out of it. Double clothesline, both men down. He counters Jay's finisher, which was lethal injection, I believe. Locks in the armbar, but the time limit runs out. The crowd asks for 5 more minutes, and Jay looked like he was about to accept, but the crowd started chanting, "Man up," and Jay didn't take too kindly to it, because they all knew who says that, and we all know at this moment in time he hates the word Jay Briscoe, and he told the crowd to stick it. The world champion comes out, however, and tells Jay to stay in the back and let me show you what a real champion's all about, and offers a match with Kyle O'Reilly. He says, forget the TV title, I'll put the world title up on the line right here, right now, let's do it. But as that was taking place, Jay runs back to the ring, hits both men with the TV title, and makes a statement to Jay Briscoe saying he's the only champion in the company, and raises the TV title high and claims that he is the one true champion in Ring of Honor. I will give this a 4.5 out of 5, 9.5 out of 10 if I was rating it that way, because, like I said, the TV title match made this show. If you haven't seen the TV title match, go and find it. Go and watch it, and I would definitely say match of the year candidate. With that being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Ring of Honor review. I will be back after this for the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast, so I'll see you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland, where I'll be reviewing their shows. Oh my God! Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Madness Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
This is Jonny Ferrari. I'm all in with the Wrestling Matters podcast in Vegas, baby.
Alright guys, welcome back to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast, and I feel the need to do some shout-outs. That's right, I gotta throw some shout-outs in there. First off, at the official TWT, Facebook.com/TWT Wrestling on Facebook as well. Guys, Total Wrestling T-Side are coming to Middlesbrough. The back end of October. I don't know where they're going to be. I'm going to get in touch with them. I'm going to send them an email and that and get in touch with them and maybe meet up with them and whatever. I'm going to find out all the information, and I'll promise, say within the next month or so, maybe more, I don't know, depending on how things go, I will hopefully, knock on wood, have some information for you, and so you can find out where these guys are going to be, because I don't know where they're going to be. All I know is this: they're coming to Middlesbrough on Halloween night. That's right, Halloween night, October 31st. Where in Middlesbrough, I don't know. More than likely, I have a feeling it'll probably be the favourite place. It'll be the town hall, but we'll see. We'll find out, and I'll promise you, I will get some information ASAP on that. Now for the shout-outs. Also, be sure to check out the next installment of the ICW podcast, which is tomorrow. Be sure to check that out as well. It is up, down, left, right AC Start Show, which was in Sheffield, which featured a return of somebody who I never thought I'd see back in the ring again, quite frankly. But hey, never say never in this business. You'll find out tomorrow on that one. Okay, I want to give a shout out to Sunday Segway. Shout out to my boys Kenny Killer and his right hand man Shugs. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Offshoot Radio as well. If you want to go and follow them, it's Mike Rodriguez it's Mr. President on Twitter. You'll find him. He's part of the Offshoot team. Just go follow at Offshoot Radio on Twitter. James Belmont's Twitter is JX2001. At That Roxy Girl as well. Shout out to you guys. I want the Offshoot team back on the podcast. Okay, you heard that here. I want it back on. I had a blast with you guys last time, despite technical faults and powers cutting out and shit like that. But I want you guys back on ASAP, please. Shout out to the Altered Angle, Josh Dillon and Pepper Brooks. Shout out to you guys. I had a blast with you guys last time you guys were on, despite faulty connections and shit like that. But other than that, we got through it and it worked out well. Like I said, I edited it to a T. I'm very proud of that. Shout out to Darren Dyer and Tim Vicious, as well as Vicky Earls as well on Twitter. Irish Commodity, The Irish Commodity. Go and check them out as well. I believe it's at Axel Mulligan on Twitter or something like that. It's Darren Dyer. You'll be able to see on there, and Vicious1 at Tim Vicious, I believe it is. And check out Tim's show as well, Vicious Rants. At Ferrari Poker, Jonny Ferrari, I had him on before as well. I had him on a couple of months ago for an interview. He was an absolute blast and an absolute laugh as well. Shout out to Massimo Italiano as well. Thank you for the interview as well. But Ferrari was an absolute blast as well. I had a lot of fun with him. We had a good natter about certain topics as well. If you haven't seen or heard that interview, go and find it. It's on my YouTube page. It's on my SoundCloud as well. But most importantly, guys, I want to give a shout out to Voice of OSW as well. Voice of OSW, which is Billy Strachan. He runs the show. OSW is Only Scottish Wrestling TV as well. Check them out. oswtv.co.uk. They are the affiliates, the partners, if you will, not to sound like Dusty Rose, of the Wrestling Matters podcast as well. And I know why they did it as well, because they were obviously impressed that I bring the best professional wrestling that I can bring you on this podcast, and also I stand up for professional wrestling as well, not sports entertainment, and I'm also standing up for Verified Mark Dallas as well, just throw that in there. But I'm also bringing you ICW podcast as well, so obviously they enjoyed that as well. But be sure to check them out. They are the affiliate, oswtv.co.uk. Be sure to check them out. You can see we have our own little section on their website as well, so go and check it out, show some love, give them views, and tell them I sent you as well. The HD, the A to the D, Anthony Walker sent you as well. Don't know who you are. RFPW official on Twitter. Now, this guy has been an absolute legend to me. I was recommended to him by Billy Strachan from OSW TV. It's Jeffrey, I believe your name is, mate. I believe it's Jeffrey SCHEOEN. Shout out to you. Apologise I get that name wrong. If I've got anything wrong there, I do deeply apologise. But you, sir, have been an absolute legend. You've been an absolute big help for me as well. My website, the Anthony Walker, the Weebly website that I've got, basically I've made a complete cock and balls of it, haven't I? So, and I'm trying to make a little bit of money from it as well with the AdSense, but it's not working out very much well. But I got recommended to him. I'm trying to bring the best website that I can bring you guys, so you guys can be attention by it, and so it can drive you guys in, and and it turns out to be excellent. That's what I'm trying to do with that website mainly. It's trying to bring you the best website, the website that gets you interested. It tells you about my stuff, the Games Matter channel as well that I'm doing on YouTube and whatever. I'm trying to bring it out and set it out to the best that I can set it out to, so you guys can have a good time on it and grab the attention, and you'll be able to hear episodes of the podcast as well in there very, very soon. But I'm trying to bring it out. But this guy as well, go and check him out. RFPW official. They are new partners as well. We partnered up together as well, so I'm allowing him to do that. So I can allow him to do this. He's now my editor as well, so every time I need help, I know who to go to as far as editing my website is concerned. But sir, you have been an absolute help and an absolute blast. Thank you so much. You've set it out. I've checked it out as well. I've checked out various other things. You probably got my emails as well from that as well. It's just superbly done, superbly set out. Hopefully I'll be adding a few things to it as well, and get a good closer look at it as well. But like I said, thank you so much for your help. It's been absolutely appreciated as well, and hopefully things can progress on from there as well. But like I say, anything you want, anything you need, you know where to find me, you know where to get in contact with me as well. Absolute blast. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the most funnest podcast around. That's right, episode 61 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, hosted by me, that H, that E to the A to the D. Hopefully in the coming weeks, in the coming months as well, hopefully it can bring you some interviews and bring some guests on as well. I'm going to get some guests back on the show and have some more fun that way as well. But I've had a lot of things on my mind at the moment. Like I say, I'm still recovering from Borough losing in that playoffs as well. But hey, unlike Derby County, we will bounce back, goddammit, as well. We won't fall, we will bounce back, and we will get back where we rightfully belong. But with that being said, my name is the head Anthony Walker. Hope you've enjoyed the Wrestling Matters podcast. Remember, hashtag Verified Dallas, getting verified on Twitter. Stand up for Mark Dallas, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.